What's going on? This is Pseychie. So this just in, about a day ago, they released hotfixes for a lot of the DLC's weapons. So originally I wasn't going to upload anything until February, but I thought I might as well go over these quick changes while they're still fresh. That being said, I don't have experience with all of these weapons so far in an actual run. I mainly just tested them out via the training room. So that also means that the tier list for the DLC weapons is also going to be coming out sometime in February, so stay tuned for that. Alright, without further ado, let's take a look at the patch notes. So just a bit of general quality of life changes. Decrease the servant's HP, increase the queen's HP. I'm guessing that this is because the servants fight is just significantly harder than the queens, because you have to deal with the chase sequence, they can deplete your health, and it's really hard for you to gain rally points back. It makes sense that they will want to balance this out in some way, and honestly, I don't really mind too much about it. So, without further ado, let's take a look at some of these changes. First of all, the Queen's Rapier now crits on all hit enemies instead of only the first hit. I didn't think I had an issue with this, at least not in my showcase of that weapon, but hey, I guess this is just good to know, right? Next up, this one's pretty big, so they completely reworked Maw of the Deep. Well, not quite completely reworked, but now it crits on rooted enemies, and it also got a damage boost. This means if you can pull off the third hit from the shark, where it bites down on an enemy, roots them, and gives them bleeding, you can technically just continue this chain. The only problem with that is, again, this is just too slow, and let's be honest here, we've already seen a weapon that does something really similar, and that is the Nutcracker, which is faster and does more damage. But hey, this is something that will make it usable, and I am interested to try this out to see whether or not it can actually work. The Gilded Yumi now deals damage when releasing the enemy. Again, I'm not too sure what this means. I'm assuming that when the arrow somehow goes past the enemy, it will kind of knock them back and then deal even more damage. So I kind of showcased this in the training room though. I'm not sure whether or not this is actually the case. But hey, a damage boost is always nice, but the thing is though, Gilded Yumi still sucks in bosses. As you can see, it barely knocks back the bosses, which means the crit condition on this weapon is pretty much useless. But again, I'll go into more detail when the tier list video comes out, so I can explain everything in detail. Now, I hate to interrupt a video like this, but in case anybody missed it in my last video, Atlas VPN is offering a huge discount on its premium services right now for just $1.39 a month. This offer only lasts until the end of January, so if you're interested, make sure to click the link either in the description or the comments. Thanks. So this once again is going to be pretty huge. Next up, we have the Wrecking Ball. It says that the speed on the first two attacks were increased. Now before this, in addition to having mediocre damage, the Wrecking Ball also had a bug that prevented it from triggering its crit condition, so luckily that was fixed. Now that I swing it around, I can see that the speed is somewhat comparable to the Oven Axe, which is okay by its own standards, but again, I don't think the damage is quite there to make it competitive. And finally, last but not least, this one is pretty big. The Bladed Tomfas. In fact, I got so excited by this change, I actually decided to do a showcase run featuring the new and improved Tomfas, and to my surprise, this change actually made it one of the best, if not the best weapon to come out of this DLC. So before, the description on the Bladed Tomfas was a little bit misleading. It said that the damage scale with your move speed, so essentially you needed to have a speed boost, and then on top of that you needed to land the first hit in its combo to activate the crits. However, this is now no longer the case. The first attack will leap forward, and then any subsequent attacks in the combo will always crit if the first one hit. This makes the weapon really interesting because now you have to think about mobility. Now, some bosses might not be suited to this weapon than some others. And just for some showcases, so for example in the giant fight, because you're leaping all over the place, it's really hard for you to stay still and actually hit the eyeball. And just for a side note, the hotfix did not change the fact that the giant forgot its crystals. So this fight is still significantly easier. In addition, there were also a lot of bug fixes, but I'm not going to go into them obviously. So once again, I'm planning to take a break until February, so thank you all for tuning into the content that this DLC had to offer, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.